I'm Chris Barnes.
2021 is the perfect time to add a healthy new habit to your daily wellness routine. Good nasal hygiene. We all know there's bad stuff in the air, allergens, bacteria, viruses, and that some of it's very dangerous. So what can you do to protect yourself? Well, you can clean your nose with Navage. Your nose is the body's air filter, and with Navage, you help your body defend itself by flushing out the crud and germs. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner with powered suction. Navage is easy to use, affordable, and it has over 40,000 online reviews averaging 4.7 stars. Join millions of Navage users to relieve congestion and allergies, breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier without drugs. At Navage.com, CVS, Walgreens, Bed Bath, Target, and Rite Aid. You wash your hands and brush your teeth every day. Let 2021 be the year you start cleaning your nose with Navage. Navage. Navage.
It's important to remove yourself from toxic relationships in your life. And as Jared reminds us, that could include some of your investments.
If you're in a losing trade, and let me just say, we're not talking about long-term investments. We're not talking about your 401k. We're not talking about your mutual funds. This is your stock portfolio. Think about what you are doing. If you're in a losing trade, do you hope that it's going to come back? Geez, I really hope this comes back. Are you praying that it's going to come back? Hope is not a strategy. You should cut your losses. You should sell it. Now, obviously, you have to have some tolerance for losses. If a stock goes down 1%, I don't think you should sell it. But if a stock goes down 20 or 30%, you sell the stock and get on with your life.
The Jared Dillian Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. on Smart Talk and on demand at smarttalkradionetwork.com.
Welcome to Inside the Skev, and I'm your host, Aaron Masliansky. Today, I've got a really important episode here because it's a really important week in the Skev. So we are joined by Dr. Devon Horton, superintendent of Evanston Skokie School District 65, and Joseph Hailpern, who is the District 65 board member. Dr. Horton joined the team in 2020. What a year to join and be a superintendent through what we've been dealing with, and we're going to be talking about that. We'll be discussing how the district has responded to the pandemic. We're going to be talking about the reopening of school on Tuesday. We're going to talk about social equity issues and just the future of the district. So, Dr. Horton, Joey, thank you so much for being here today.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, this is just such an important week. And, Dr. Horton and I, we were just talking a little bit before the show started. My son's here in the room watching, and it's exciting for him to go back to in-person school and see what's going on. But, for you, this is also your first day of school for in-person, being the superintendent. What's it been like to start a job like this and to come into this type of situation?
It's been fast and hard, and there's nothing that could have really prepared me for this. And I think about superintendents that's been sitting in the seat for a while. I know it's been challenging for many of them, especially for those who have established their systems and their structures and their process of how they operate their school district, knowing that this pandemic just disrupted all of that. But I've had an opportunity to fast track who I know and getting to meet key players in the community, stakeholders, working with the board, working with our unions. I've really had some great bonding with our 5 unions that we have in 65, the faith-based organizations and community members, parents, staff. I mean, I've had a chance to bond like no other during this time. And I would say, had it been a normal transition, I would still be trying to bond with many of those stakeholders, but the pandemic kind of forced it to happen a lot quicker. And so I feel like we all understand where we're coming from and what our priorities are. It's just a matter of now getting our doors open on Tuesday.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is key. But you talk about like there's nothing that could have prepared you for this year, but you have quite the background of being somebody who's resilient. And growing up in the Robert Taylor homes in Chicago and going through different school districts. What has motivated you through that time, and do you take from here and into this new opportunity?
Yeah, I just know that again, my background being the way I was raised and raised in Chicago, I do know that there's always the sun always shines, you know, on the next day, and it
Right.
always gives me hope that things will be better, and knowing that if I plan in advance and take on these challenging fights early on, that things will change for the better, and we can position ourselves. So that was, I would say, the greatest takeaway for me, and knowing that for education, which is what we're in the field of now, was the gatekeeper, was the gateway for me to and my family to overcome poverty and all of those other challenges. So we definitely know that getting our doors and our schools open is a non-negotiable, and that we have to provide these opportunities for all of our students.
Yeah, I think it's critical. And, there's so many articles I read about how the pandemic has, today there's an article in the Wall Street Journal about how the pandemic has made kids more obese. And, it's because they don't get opportunities for nutrition
Yeah.
like you would have at school. You don't have opportunities for exercise. I mean, just besides being in the classroom, I mean, there's so many extracurriculars that are so key for everybody here. Now, Joey, as a board member, it's a tough decision to reopen schools in the middle of the pandemic. I know some other schools have opened. There's a big debate. Chicago, it was tough to get things in. What has the board done to be able to prepare and support the staff in order to be able to open up safely?
Well, there's a lot of things that we've had to take on in terms of the reopening challenges. And the first thing is, as a board this past year, was find the right leader and let them lead. So Dr. Horton has come in and assembled the team and a lot of energy around the reopening efforts. Obviously, he's new to the district, but we have taken in federal CARES money. We have spent that on lots of mitigation efforts, from face masks, gloves, gowns, lots of PPE types of equipment, thermometers, things that can, things you'd find in a doctor's office as well, to keep people safe, but also adjusting air filtration filters and turning off water fountains, things where schools would be high probability to create spread. And then also allowing teams at every school site where physical systems are different to assess the way that people are going to move through the building. And you can see on all of our school sites containers in parking lots where we have decluttered schools, furniture that's unnecessary so that kids can maintain social distance. There's been a lot of other details like that have gone into trying to make school as safe as possible.
Well, that's key. And there's also been a medical advisory board to help with this too, to institute these types of things, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
For
Dr.
day one.
From day one. Yeah. And have you been able to look at the experiences of other districts around the region or around the country and learn from them in order to be able to implement best practices?
Yes, I would like to say a couple of things we've done. So first of all, Joey being in a different school district as a board member, he shared quite a bit of information and things that they've done to be successful when reopening their schools. But we've also sent teams out to visit other school districts as well, to see that schools can be open safely. We're using those metrics that, as Joey spoke about, and those that we've had some really great support from some of our surrounding school districts. So absolutely.
Yeah. One thing that I think has been really key, and what's I think so unique and so special about the Evanston Skokie School District, is that, and I'm not saying that other school districts aren't like this either, but the parents here are so deeply involved and caring about what goes on. And, you could see it on some of the Facebook groups, and sometimes it can get a little heated, but I think the bottom line is that everybody really, really, really cares to make sure that their children and everybody gets a great education. And, so there's, I think, a lot of support in getting this back, getting us back in the buildings and whatnot. but it's exciting. It's exciting to be able to take on these challenges. Some of the things I want to talk about during this hour that we have, and I wish we would have more, but this is what we have. But you, Dr. Horton, really want to make things equitable for people. We're going to talk about that and just how, what your vision is. And then also just, how do we look at this massive change? The pandemic is an opportunity for us to reevaluate things. And, maybe that's the buildings that we have. Maybe that's, just where schools are located and how things, can be fair for everybody.
Yeah.
So I really would love to get into that. How do you see the rest of the year going just in terms of getting back in? And do you see that there could potentially be a ramp up if numbers continue to drop where we could have more full day school? Or do you think it's going to be hybrid until, next fall?
So I'll just say something you mentioned early on in your statement. Our parents are extremely passionate. Um, it's a community that's extremely passionate. And I don't think the passion is any different than any other community. But I would say what's different is that this is a extremely vocal community. And people are very strong about what they believe, and they are willing to express their opinions, their expressions, and their values. And oftentimes, I think what we struggle with in the community is learning to see it from others people's perspective. I think that can be challenging, right? And it's a pandemic. Let's just be honest. But I'll say for us, in regards to opening our schools, we have been able to get all of our K-5 students back in school, either in the AM or PM, for those that desire to return, for families who wanted their children to return. Middle school has been a little different. Our buildings are not that, our classrooms are not that large. So we've not been able to get back most of our students at maybe one of our campuses in the Haven, to be specific. But we have a contract with our union, and this contract goes into the end of the school year. So we would have to rebargain with our union, with DEC, if we were to open up and bring back more students. I am not saying that that's not going to happen. That very well can happen. That could very well be in the middle of March. We could see that this is going well, and we will. And our union has been very supportive, and maybe we can get back to the table to have those discussions. But right now, the current contract that we have carries us to the end of the school year.
Yeah, so that would be interesting. And have the teachers been able to, many of them, to get vaccinated?
So Skokie has been really great with getting our teachers at Walker as well as Betsy Rhodes vaccinated. That's been great. And the city of Evanston, we submitted our names. We worked with Amita Health. They got about 400 of our staff members the first dosage. The second dose is to start this week. And then the city of Evanston has worked with us, and we're anticipating for the rest of our staff to be vaccinated within the next week or so, at least to get their first shot. So that's where we are right now with vaccines.
That's fantastic. And we're going to talk more about the return to school in person and more about different things about the district when we come back from the break. But, this is, I think, just so key. There's a great plan in place. There's vision, and we're going to see some great things, I think, coming in the next maybe couple months and years to follow. So everyone stick around. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search, from immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses. My clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com.
Mortgage rates have reached record lows recently. If you see homeownership in your future, the future is now. Think of Beth Lewis at Cross Country Mortgage as your personal mortgage shopper. She'll sort through racks and racks of home financing options until she finds exactly the right style and fit for you. She'll get you pre-approved to give you an advantage over other buyers, and she'll close your loan quickly with a highly efficient process driven by advanced mortgage technology. In 2020, Beth closed over $294 million in loans in 883 separate transactions. Beth will be here for you too, because helping people get mortgages is what she does best. Visit BethLewisTeam.com to get started. That's BethLewisTeam.com or call 847-274-9745. That's 847-274-9745. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing opportunity, Illinois residential mortgage licensee. Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number one, stclassmovers.com. Looking for safe and nurturing daycare or preschool for your child? Well, JCC Chicago is here for you. Introducing JCC Chicago Early Childhood's newest location at Beth Emmet Synagogue in Evanston for children 6 weeks to 5 years old. Contact Director Nicole Correa at jccchicago.org/tour for a virtual tour. Our nurturing educators and social services team creates safe spaces for kids to develop social and emotional skills, including teamwork, independence, and empathy through classmate interaction. Our year-round outdoor classrooms provide abundant space to discover and nurture a lifelong love of learning. Full and half-day programs help children grow and flourish in their new classroom community. Schedule a virtual tour at jccchicago.org/tour to see why parents say they quickly notice the magic that happened day in and day out. And ask about the Hebrew Immersion Program. All the info's at jccchicago.org/tour. That's jccchicago.org/tour.
Reading, writing, and math are a struggle for a lot of young students. At BrainLinks, we know those skills are what paves the way to independence and success. Our specialists will help your child develop the habits they need to make sure they strive, not only in class, but out in the world in general. And of course, for everyone's safety, our lessons are done completely online. For more info on our team members and to schedule your initial consultation, visit BrainLinksAcademics.com. That's BrainLinksAcademics.com.
This is psychic and medical intuitive Julie Ryan, host of the Ask Julie Ryan Show, heard Thursday nights from 7 to 9 Central on Chicago's Smart Talk, WCGO.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside the Skev, and I am here with District 65, Evanston Skokie School District 65 Superintendent Dr. Devon Horton and Board Member Joseph Hailpern, and we are talking about the school district, the return to school, a lot of really important topics here, and want to just ask a few more questions about the return to school for just so the public can help be educated on this. We've got a great plan in place. You know, we're going to be checking people coming through. We've got, cleaning procedures. Everyone's being asked not to travel out of state, go into hot zones during this time. One question I have is, let's say somebody does have COVID. How do we get access for testing for the students or the families? And then how do we do contact tracing to prevent a spread?
Yep. So I'll start with the end piece of that. So whenever a COVID case is reported to us, and it's extremely confidential, I don't even get the information of who this person is. We share it with our health department. So if it's Skev, if it's in Evanston, it'll be the Evanston Health Department. If it's Skokie, it'll be communicated to their health department, depending on where that student or that staff member lives. And then we also, we trace back to who they've had interaction with right in the school. So we know who's coming to classes every day. This is why in our middle schools, which could be a big problem, our students are not rotating. They're staying in their classroom and the teacher rotates. The teachers are rotating. So it's an easier way for us to know who's had interaction with certain staff or students if that occurred. And then for testing, we are actually in the process of working to finalize with a company to actually have the testing done um, for our staff and for our students. We're working on a couple of things for that as well. It's just a matter of being sure that we don't have that we don't get that this information does not get in the hands of someone that is not supposed to. So there's some legal just paperwork and that we're trying to finalize with the contract. So we have and no one will be paying for their testing if you're exposed in our school. We will be taking care of that at the district level.
And is that something where would potentially there will be routine testing done? Because I know in some schools I've heard of, like in some of the private schools in the area, they do PCR tests on a weekly basis. But is that something that the public school district will do?
So the contract that we're trying to finalize, it will allow free testing twice a week. In the district, it'll be located at three of our parking lots if we're able to finalize. But I'm not at liberty to speak exclusively about it because we don't have the full contract. But that is a goal of ours to offer the free testing.
Yeah. And Joey, I know that there's been talk about like, okay, if somebody wants to go on a vacation, let's say they go to Florida or something in the middle, and people have said, well, the district should require that there be a quarantine period before people come back. But there is no set rule on that right now. So what is the guidance that the board and Dr. Horton that parents should follow?
So as it relates to travel and quarantine periods, one of the reasons why this is a great question is because there's a lot of confusion. The CDC has guidance on it. The Illinois Department of Public Health has guidance on it. Cook County Health Department has guidance on this, and yet all of our schools are located within the Evanston and Skokie Public Health Departments, and those are all different. And sometimes the expectations and the policies language are nuanced. So the CDC has recommended certain quarantine periods for travel outside of personal vehicles. Evanston and Skokie Health Departments, as far as I know, have not yet adopted that. Lake County Health Department, where I work, has adopted that. So the schools are abiding by that. But those are things that are going to be evolving. And I think people need to expect change. They need to expect that whatever the plan is on day one, whatever the communication thus far, it's going to change. That's the only thing that is consistent here is that policies are changing, guidance is changing as we get better at this and better at living in a pandemic and living with this virus around us. We are learning how to do it better and better, and we will follow. Educators and board members. We're not public policy health experts, and so we're going to rely on the guidance of our Evanston Health Department and Skokie Health Departments in that way.
And Joe, and I just want to make sure the public is aware, Joey, you are the principal of the Brayside Elementary School in Highland Park. So you're not just a board member parent, you're somebody who's also in the thick of it from another role as well. So it's so valuable that we have what you're learning too, to be able to bring it into the full experience of District 65. And I agree. I mean, in terms of the only thing that's constant in this situation is change. And on Friday, the CDC gave clear direction that schools should open and more direction on how that should be followed. So have you both been able to review that guidance since that came out 2 days ago?
Yes, I did. The biggest takeaway from that for me is that everyone is rightfully so nervous about the vaccine or not being vaccinated. And the CDC in their release it states that the vaccine is not required for us to reopen schools. It highlights a lot of the things that we're doing around mitigation of social distancing, hand washing, temperature checking, all of those pieces. So it just really supports what we have released, and we've been following IDPH pretty well, and also and now that we have our medical advisory group, really having those details ironed out pretty well.
That's so important. For me, I've been, I think as many, pretty anxious about kids going back to school, just about getting COVID and trying to avoid it. But I think to hear from both of you that there's been so many different guidelines put in place to try to make it as safe as possible, and also taking into account the the huge public value to going back in person, and you have to weigh it between, what you can do. And certainly it looks like the risk level is lower, with kids going back to school. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of your big goals here in the school district. I want to talk about social equity, how this all relates, and exactly how everything, how you look at everything as we come back and in the future. So everyone stick around. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search, from immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses. My clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com.
Mortgage rates have reached record lows recently. If you see homeownership in your future, the future is now. Think of Beth Lewis at Cross Country Mortgage as your personal mortgage shopper. She'll sort through racks and racks of home financing options until she finds exactly the right style and fit for you. She'll get you pre-approved to give you an advantage over other buyers, and she'll close your loan quickly with a highly efficient process driven by advanced mortgage technology. In 2020, Beth closed over $294 million in loans in 883 separate transactions. Beth will be here for you too, because helping people get mortgages is what she does best. Visit BethLewisTeam.com to get started. That's BethLewisTeam.com. Or call 847-274-9745. That's 847-274-9745. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing opportunity, Illinois residential mortgage licensee. Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number one, stclassmovers.com. Looking for safe and nurturing daycare or preschool for your child? Well, JCC Chicago is here for you. Introducing JCC Chicago Early Childhood's newest location at Beth Emmett Synagogue in Evanston for children 6 weeks to 5 years old. Contact Director Nicole Correa at jccchicago.org/tour for a virtual tour. Our nurturing educators and social services team create safe spaces for kids to develop social and emotional skills, including teamwork, independence, and empathy through classmate interaction. Our year-round outdoor classrooms provide abundant space to discover and nurture a lifelong love of learning. Full and half-day programs help children grow and flourish in their new classroom community. Schedule a virtual tour at jccchicago.org/tour to see why parents say they quickly notice the magic that happened day in and day out. And ask about the Hebrew Immersion Program. All the info's at jccchicago.org/tour. That's jccchicago.org/tour. Relationships are at the base of just about everything in life. If those relationships thrive, so does your life and your business. Prue's Coach Leader Academy helps individuals to entire companies learn a coach approach to support positive relationship. PCLA's ICF accredited coach training program transforms and equips individuals and companies with a skill set to support others' growth and development. PCLA. We coach, we train, we mentor. Get started today at Prue'sCoachLeader.com. That's PREUSS Coachleader.com.
It's JT and Leanne. Join us for Heart and Home with Exit Realty.
Local listings, market conditions, and opportunity.
Sunday afternoons at 4 on Chicago's Smart Talk.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside the Skev, and we are here with Skokie School District Superintendent Dr. Devon Horton and Board Member Joseph Hailpern. And we've been talking a lot about the pandemic and about, Dr. Horton, you coming in. This is your first year, but you have really made the news here nationally about your plans. I mean, there was a Wall Street Journal article titled, "Can School Be Anti-Racist? A new superintendent in Evanston, Illinois has a plan," from October of 2020. And it's really talking about, the systematic racism, which has plagued our nation in many ways and holds a lot of people back. You having a background living at the Robert Taylor homes and really being a victim of the my former school, U of I, Urbana-Champaign, the urban planning department. I have a bachelor's and master's in urban planning from that school. And I know that one of their first planners, their concept was to get rid of urban blight and build housing projects.
Yep.
So how do you undo that and give opportunity to everybody in the district?
Yeah, I would just like to say first, Aaron, I'm impressed on your history and what you know about, university, and their involvement with that planning design. A lot of times we get so caught into the day-to-day that we don't look back to see how we got here, right? So
Right.
it's really great, and I'm thankful that you are aware. But I'm going to say, in all honesty, Joey's going to say I hear this a lot. He hears this a lot from me, but I really believe, and I lead by my motto is students do not fail. It's the social structures that we create as a society that fail our students. And oftentimes, when you look at these structures and you talk about equity policies, we have to get beyond. And I'm thankful. This is why I really thought Evanston was a great fit for me. Evanston and Skokie as a community has moved beyond the fun talk of equity and really starting to have some really hard conversations. And I think there's a couple of things I always ask myself when I'm leading, and it's right. How do equity policies fail? How does institutionalized racism continue to live within our school systems? How can I guarantee, this is me thinking, that all decisions being made are equitable and the board keeps me on my toes, my team and I? And what strategies can we use to combat systemic inequities? Those are very hard questions. And oftentimes when you deal with equity, I think some of the pieces that we got to be willing to fight and to take a position on and really dive in and have these racial conscious conversations that are really uncomfortable. And it's not just comfortable for me or someone on my side as an African American or a Latinx. It's uncomfortable on both sides. These conversations can be. And so some things that I like to keep my team aware of. And as we're making decisions and as we approach this work, number one, we gotta be aware of what political capturing can look like. There's a debate about the whole. I'm just going to use this one as an example. The Black Lives Matter movement. Is Black Lives Matter movement political, or is it really a social activist opportunity for us? And I like to caution anyone who believes that it's political to really show me beyond just who we say identified it, but the work and the Black lives that have been challenged across this country. And it's been hard. Other things around policy, aiming to fix the oppressed and not the oppressor. When we're designing policies, there's a technique and a strategy that the district adopted here in Evanston before I came, and it's a process I'm familiar with too. It's the racial equity analysis protocol. When we look at our policies and decision making, do we take it through this process and really see who's being impacted by these decisions and these policies? The lack of oversight and support. What does that really mean? You cannot have an equity policy if you don't have the resources, if you don't have a school board, if you don't have a community, and you don't have a staff, a teaching force, and an administrative team that's not supporting it. And the resources can range from what we're working on now, and I won't spend too much time on this, the teacher residency that we're building. We got a grant from ISB. One of the first things I did when I came in, and we're in partnership with Northwestern and National Louis, where we're prioritizing 20 residents a year of diverse teaching candidates that we will build and employ in our district, right, over the course of a year. And if your budget does not reflect equity, you can't say you value it, right? Left for interpretation. I think the one thing another thing that the district has done well is that we've defined our terms. In the community now, that's what you saw in the paper most recently, we've struggled with understanding how those terms mean. And yes, those terms are not comfortable, but it's necessary that we have those discussions and have inside of our equity policy. So there's work to be done, but there are conversations that got to be had. But most importantly, there's action that has to happen, and if we don't take the right steps to move in the right direction, to go from social activism equity work to educational racial equity work, that our achievement gap won't close, right? So those are just some of the little nuggets that I wanted to share in response to what you put on the table, Aaron. And definitely some of these things are longer term solutions that we have to put in place, but the things that we can address right now, we have to do it right now.
And you talk about the residency program. Is part of that just bringing in more of a mix of, more Black educators, more Latinx educators for mentorship?
No, sir. No, sir. That's a good question too, Aaron, because when I say it, it sounds like that, right? So what it is, it's a process where we're currently interviewing and recruiting individuals who already have at least a bachelor's degree. We're trying to target the Skokie and Evanston area of candidates that are diverse. And diverse could mean Black, Latinx, male, Asian. It could mean a lot of those things. But more importantly, candidates that want to come in to actually focus on equity and understand the importance of teaching culture responsively. And so what we'll do once we identify them, I think we've seen about 70 different candidates to come to our forums. This is without us even broadcasting yet. So we had about 70, and we're looking for 20. 8 of them will be in the Northwestern's program, and they will be housed at King Arts. I'm giving you the gist of it. They'll be housed at King Arts. They'll be assigned to what we call these master teachers, and they'll work with them for a full year. They'll start taking courses in late June, early July, taking all of the coursework from that window all the way to June of next year. But they're Monday through Thursday, they report to the school and they get training, boots on the ground. So think about the medical residency compared to the traditional way in which our teachers are normally trained. I had 16 weeks, Joy. I'm sure yours is very similar. And I'm being honest, I didn't learn much. It was fun, but I didn't walk away with, I got the skill set to go in and be a great teacher. And so the new design, they'll get trained for a full year. And it goes less on theory and philosophy of teaching and more to the practice, the art and science of teaching. And so we got Northwestern at the table. That's a huge compliment to bring Northwestern in. Yes. And they're working to actually, and we pay our residents a $30,000 stipend. And we're not paying it out of the district money. We're going through a structural deficit piece. This is actually coming from, we have some donors that's going to donate the money for that. And then National Louis will be housed, those residents, about 12 of them will be housed at Betsy Road. So it'll be emerging bilingual, special education, and early childhood. And at King Arts, it's elementary education and STEM education. So we will give them courses on our end. This is the most powerful part. We will give them courses on our side as a school district. So we're going to teach them about our 6 instructional systems. They're going to learn about the D65 way. And I don't know if you all are familiar with the old clothing from the 90s. It was called FUBU. It's called For Us, By Us.
Yep.
That is what we're doing. We're building our teachers for us, by us, so that they can hit the ground and be extremely effective. This is the 3rd residency that I've been responsible for leading and building. I built one in East St. Louis, and that has taken off and made a huge difference, as well as now in Louisville, Kentucky. And so I'm excited about where we are and what this residency can offer. And we're not just looking, the goal would be, right now, we want to build our pipeline in Evanston, Skokie, but we would love to be a hub for helping other districts in the area that need diverse candidates. So that is a long-term, and the program is called Create, in partnership with National Louis and Northwestern. So,
It makes us an example for the whole region or country. And I think that's really something unique that is a great feature of the Skokie Evanston area. And also, we talk a lot about diversity, but in teaching, but also does it help with helping people who have disabilities?
Yes, absolutely. You're on point with that. Like, this is diversity includes our special education, our emerging bilingual. As you heard me mention, we're actually working to at least 4 of the residents will have certification in special ed, and another 4 will be emerging bilinguals. We are trying to cover all of it, and we know that currently the way we have set up our students for special education support in our district, we've depended pretty heavy on using paraprofessionals to help support. We are moving to more of a co-teaching model, which has been, from a research side, way more beneficial for students, not just students who receive special education services, but regular students, because you'll have these 2 professional adults, 2 teachers in the classroom. So absolutely.
I think that'll be really helpful. I know, especially during the pandemic, this has been incredibly difficult for people who have special disabilities, special challenges, and not being in person and having remote is just almost impossible to learn. Well, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, Joey, I want to talk to you about what you think for the future. And I know there's been a lot of talk on the board about these virtual board cafes, about looking at the district, looking at budgets and structural deficits and whatnot. So we will talk about that. Everyone stick around, and see you soon. Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search, from immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses. My clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com.
Mortgage rates have reached record lows recently. If you see homeownership in your future, the future is now. Think of Beth Lewis at Cross Country Mortgage as your personal mortgage shopper. She'll sort through racks and racks of home financing options until she finds exactly the right style and fit for you. She'll get you pre-approved to give you an advantage over other buyers, and she'll close your loan quickly with a highly efficient process driven by advanced mortgage technology. In 2020, Beth closed over $294 million in loans in 883 separate transactions. Beth will be here for you too, because helping people get mortgages is what she does best. Visit BethLewisTeam.com to get started. That's BethLewisTeam.com. Or call 847-274-9745. That's 847-274-9745. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing opportunity, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee.
Reading, writing, and math are a struggle for a lot of young students. At BrainLinks, we know those skills are what paves the way to independence and success. Our specialists will help your child develop the habits they need to make sure they strive, not only in class, but out in the world in general. And of course, for everyone's safety, our lessons are done completely online. For more info on our team members and to schedule your initial consultation, visit BrainLinksAcademics.com. That's BrainLinksAcademics.com.
Looking for safe and nurturing daycare or preschool for your child? Well, JCC Chicago is here for you. Introducing JCC Chicago Early Childhood's newest location at Beth Emmett Synagogue in Evanston for children 6 weeks to 5 years old. Contact Director Nicole Correa at jccchicago.org/tour for a virtual tour. Our nurturing educators and social services team create safe spaces for kids to develop social and emotional skills, including teamwork, independence, and empathy through classmate interaction. Our year-round outdoor classrooms provide abundant space to discover and nurture a lifelong love of learning. Full and half-day programs help children grow and flourish in their new classroom community. Schedule a virtual tour at jccchicago.org/tour to see why parents say they quickly notice the magic that happened day in and day out. And ask about the Hebrew Immersion Program. All the info's at jccchicago.org/tour. That's jccchicago.org/tour. Relationships are at the base of just about everything in life. If those relationships thrive, so does your life and your business. Prue's Coach Leader Academy helps individuals to entire companies learn a coach approach to support positive relationship. PCLA's ICF accredited coach training program transforms and equips individuals and companies with a skill set to support others' growth and development. PCLA. We coach, we train, we mentor. Get started today at Prue'sCoachLeader.com. That's PREUSS Coachleader.com.
Hey folks, it's Elizabeth Alfano, host of Plant-Based Life and Style. Tune in every Sunday right here on WCGO.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Inside the Skev, and we are talking with Evanston Skokie School District Superintendent Dr. Devon Horton and Board Member Joseph Hailpern, and we have talked about a lot. So if you're listening to this, you can always go back on skevinston.com and listen to the entire show or WCGO and share it with your friends and family. So, one of the things that we talked about is, these issues of social equity and, how it's really important for the schools. But Joey, I want to ask you, if you, let's say, don't have school age children, or you send your kids to private school. There's a lot of people that go to private school in this district, and like any district. Why is this important that there's social equity in the public school district? And that, that's the question.
Well, 80% of members of our community don't have children in our schools. So this is a really important question to ask, but also for there to be a solid answer to. The main thing is that as far as home values are concerned, as far as strong communities are concerned, all those things come from great schools. Strong communities are built around neighborhood schools. Strong communities have good home values. It makes everything better. And with the past 15 years, the economy, we've seen what home values can create turbulence that makes people uneasy. One of our issues with racial equity that we're striving for as a board is sustainability. So we are talking about lessening our footprint, and we're talking about reducing expenditures. We're talking about lessening some of the costs of our school district. That directly impacts the 80% who are taxpayers that help fund us. And we want to make sure that we're respectful to the taxpayers and to the way that they support our schools via property taxes, which is Illinois' way of paying for public schools. It's also why we're talking about things like adding a new school in the 5th Ward of Evanston, which is the only neighborhood in Evanston that doesn't have a neighborhood school, where when you look at Skevinston specifically, we've got 2 schools there alone.
A block away from
and
each
so we
other.
want to do a couple of things here. Right, we want to do a couple of things with this long-term planning process. One is be more fiscally responsible. We are currently outspending what we bring in, and we have to rectify that. That has been something that's been built into. I'll lean on teacher contracts because it's 80% of our expenditures, and I was a big part of negotiating the past teacher contract, and there's a lot of things in our contracts that we have to rectify. And the main thing is making sure that we right size the staffing plan, and if that means we have less buildings, we have less operating costs, we also probably have less staff to a degree. And I know that's an alarming thing to say, but it's also true. We've had enrollment decline over the past few years, and we have to make sure that we're serving the community in the best way possible. And that includes, lessening our footprint, and also making sure that we tend to make sure that every community in this area has a neighborhood school that they can be proud of. We want to solve that big problem that's kind of been a pain in the Skevinston and Evanston community for 60 years now, and it has to be rectified. So we're going to do a couple of those things at the same time.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's big decisions that are coming up. And, maybe as we take a look at what we've learned from remote learning in the pandemic, maybe there's ways to make things a little bit more efficient. And, maybe there could be more utilization of the staff where maybe it is more remote, so they don't have to travel as much between schools or whatnot, and can handle more students. I mean, I don't know if that's something that's been discussed, but maybe that's something we look at. And, the fact that there isn't a school in the Fifth Ward, I think, speaks to some of the other matters of systemic racism that we've talked about before. And having a strong neighborhood school does promote strong property value. And property value is the way to build wealth, and building wealth can continue in generations. And you can see the effects of not having that wealth. One thing that I think is, again, really unique about Evanston, and people could have vastly different opinions on this, and I respect that. But there's, reparations that taxes that are going to fund different programs to help residents in the Fifth Ward purchase property. And that will help to increase value. Plus a school in that area, a new school, I think can really, generate a lot of momentum for helping people in the community. Dr. Horton, do you see that as something that would really make a great positive change?
Absolutely. Like you just said, you summarized it, Aaron. You would make me think you were an educator, knowing schools in a community, like it adds value. It brings a sense of pride, connectedness, excitement, and especially when you have schools that are meeting the needs of the students and the families that they serve. That is a major priority for us. But the community has been plagued for 42, 43 years of a school in the Fifth Ward. But I also must say, importantly, as Joey mentioned, we cannot say we're going to do a school in the Fifth Ward without impacting other facilities in our district. We're getting ready to launch late spring after we go through the bidding process, what we call a facilities master plan process that will give us the full spectrums of how our buildings are functioning, age, what it would cost to get them up to where we need them to be, spacing, using them the right way, all of that. And so once we have that information and we got the student assignment planning, I'll put a plug in. If you're not applied for that, tomorrow we're going to release an application. We have about 30 members of the community and staff that we're looking to be a part of this student assignment planning, because we're going to have to do redistricting. And I have to just call this what it is. There's no way as a school district we can say we're going to open another school without making these changes. That's totally false, and it would be irresponsible for us to move forward without being transparent that it's going to impact other campuses. And it's not just because we're doing it for the sake of the Fifth Ward, which is long overdue. We're also doing it because we have just buildings that are not in the condition that we need them to be. And so we want to provide that opportunity for all.
If people want to learn more about what's going on in the district and get involved, where should they go?
Our district website, we're actually going to have a page, or if it's not up, it will be. I know it may be up for our student assignment planning. That will give you everything that we do. We'll be meeting a couple of times a month with that advisory group. The plan will not be proposed to the board till March of next year. So I'm glad you asked that, because that timeline is not like we're closing schools next year or the following year. There's a plan that we will put in place that the board will have to vote on, and then we'll launch it, and it'll be a 3 to 5 year plan in which we launch all these changes.
So everyone, if you want,
that's a great question, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you.
I was going to say, if you only look at what's published in newspapers or on Facebook, you will get a very skewed look at the work that's happening in the district. And I recommend that people definitely balance that with some of the information that's coming out directly from the district website.
That's district65.net. So everyone go on there. I want to thank you both for joining me today on such an important week for what's going on in the district and getting back to school and talking about these various issues. I wish I had more time, But thank you so much, Dr. Horton. We are so lucky to have you and look forward to seeing the future. And everyone, check out more at skevinston.com and tune in next week. I'll have Michael Edgar from Select Chicago, who talks about bringing global investment to this area. So thank you all so much and have a good week.
All right.
Thank you.
Color classes. Finally, a fun Zoom call to look forward to. Get professional, real-time instruction from nationally showing artist Victoria Elizabeth. She's an artist from the Chicagoland area and has a degree in watercolor painting. These classes are step-by-step, so everything is broken down with easy-to-understand instructions. Our painting subjects are nature scenes, landscapes, botanicals, and more. The benefit of real-time instruction is you get to ask for help whenever you need it. The classes are affordable, too, at just $15 a class for 2 hours of instruction. Visit her website at victoriaelizabethart.com to find out more about these Zoom classes, events, workshops, and more. Again, that website is victoriaelizabethart.com.
WCGO and W240